final piece you'll need to build a time machine. You should also have the Da Vinci Codex, which contains various formulae, the sculpture which morphs into a schematic diagram, and the medieval sword which holds the energy focusing element. This cartridge contains all existing notes, plans, and diagrams on the construction of the neutrino matrix accelerator, the time machine's power source. You'll be able to recreate the accelerator from these notes. By using the formulae, schematics, and focusing element to control the accelerator and harness its power, you'll be able to turn it into a functioning time machine. The information on this cartridge has been arranged in chronological order, starting with the building of the accelerator's framework, and following the process of its construction through to the final product. Good luck. And may
Sorry to interrupt, Gage, but I need that back.
Good, you're awake. Don't bother trying to move, your suit's disabled. I've got you hooked up to the jumpsuit maintenance frame. Well, it took me a while, but I finally figured out how you did it. I remembered that Agent 8 told me that when you broke house arrest, he found you back in your old apartment, without your suit. So that was the Gage that I know. And he jumped back into the past to enlist your help, right? Because he knew that he was being watched. You certainly are resourceful, aren't you? I didn't even know that that was possible. Just when I thought I had you under my control, you go and pull something like this on me. While you were unconscious, I looked at your evidence biochip. That's some pretty incriminating stuff. Looks like I've got no choice. I'm going to have to erase it and, mind wipe you. Well, at least you won't remember how painful it was. In fact, when you wake up back in your apartment in the year 2319, you won't remember that any of this ever happened. Or, will happen, I guess. Well, first, I've got to send back the Environ cart that you stole from me. Despite your best efforts, humans are no longer the only beings capable of time travel. It's for the better, Gage, believe me. We just can't be trusted with such a powerful tool. Human nature would eventually drive us to use it for the wrong reasons. And if we're not the only ones with the technology, maybe we won't be as tempted to misuse it. My contact promised me that it would be given to every race of the symbiotree that wants it.
This doesn't look good. The jump controls are locked out and she's got you completely immobilized. While you were taking a commercial break, she hooked us up to this thing. She's been downloading stuff from your biochips ever since. She hasn't discovered me yet, but I'm afraid it's just a matter of time. I keep trying to sneak a peek down the data stream, but I'm afraid I'm gonna stand out like a rat in a garden hose. Hey, that was pretty good. Anyway, I'll keep trying.
You probably think that I'm ill, that I'm insane. I really can't blame you. I mean, no one from our generation has ever seen how aggressive we can really be. Or the generation before us, for that matter. Or the ones before that. But every single one of my historical research missions involved studying war. I've been to the Nazi death camps and Hiroshima. I've seen the terrorist massacres. I've lived it. I know. You can't possibly imagine the horror of seeing a bustling city of thousands vaporized by a nuclear firestorm, or a crowd of people shredded into bloody ribbons by a single shrapnel as you watch, helpless. But that's what happens when we feel the need to bare our teeth. It's human nature. And it's not something that just a couple of 100 years can erase. Look around you. Do you know what this place is? It's a missile silo. Well, a few centuries ago, there were tens of thousands of these, and each one contained a nuclear missile powerful enough to obliterate an entire sector. That's enough to destroy the world 50 times over. Yet just 3 centuries later, even before the physical reminders are gone, we're claiming that we've matured into a peaceful race of beings. How can we be that naive?
That's it! She just hooked up the pipeline I needed. I'm gonna swim up and see if I can stop her.
You probably figured out that I was the one that rigged the security grid. I had to be able to get the things I needed from the Pegasus warehouse without being seen. But when you started asking around about the mistake in the grid, well, I mean the future you, that is, I had to change my plans. So, instead of just sending the information to my contact, I came up with the idea of hiding it in historical artifacts. Artifacts from your research dates that were also slated for sale at the Louvre art auction. That way, all I had to do was tell my contact which items to buy, and the transaction was nearly impossible to trace. And if anyone started digging around because of what they saw, well, they'd discover the ripples and come straight back to you. I even found some valuable trinkets to plant in your locker if that happened. Just that one simple move would give you a motive and the court a scapegoat. But, I didn't want to have to do it. I never thought for a second that someone might accidentally discover the ripples. I mean, how often do we do manual scans? Someone must have been bored out of their minds that day. I'm sorry, Gage. I really am. If I could be the one that was arrested, if I could take responsibility for my actions, I would in a second, believe me. I had no choice. I don't want to do this to you, but if I don't, it will all have been for nothing. If they find out how the technology was spread, they'll be able to keep it from ever happening. That's the problem with time travel. Nothing's ever safe. That's why I had to do it. I had to even the playing field, even a little. I'm sorry if I'm making you an unwilling martyr to my cause, but that's just the way it's gotta be. Please understand. Why am I even bothering with this? You're not gonna remember any of this anyway.
Everything! It's all controlled through the neural link into her suit. You can create a virus and shut the whole thing down. Just need to get into. No. There's a password, Gage. I need a password. What do you know about Michelle? Setting up an interface link for you. I need a password. We've both got instant Alzheimer's. See what you can dig up. Hurry!
Virus. Thanks for the adventure. I'll see you on the other side.
What's going on? What did you do? What did you do?
In a late-breaking update from the technology discussions, the Kryn ambassador Icarus moments ago stormed out of the talks, apparently frustrated with the lack of progress. The conflict began when the ambassador said, quote, "Even the Kryn can no longer deny the truth of the situation and that they don't understand how anyone could defend our right to keep such a hazardous technology." Until last week, Icarus maintained the Kryn's usual position, that each race should be allowed complete autonomy over its own technologies. But their attitude changed soon after Agent 5 was arrested. Since then, the Kryn ambassador has repeatedly tried to gain the support of all the other envoys in fighting for the abolishment of time travel. When this last plea once again met with resistance, Icarus launched into a tirade, exclaiming that if they had known better, they would not have voted to let such an obstinate and naive race as humanity into the symbiotree. He then abruptly departed. The talks will go on despite the Kryn withdrawal. The heads of ministry will continue to meet with symbiotree representatives today in the Assembly Hall of the United Ministry Complex. These talks were requested by several member races as a forum in which to discuss the place of time travel technology in the symbiotree of peaceful beings. Today marks the beginning of the third week of negotiations, yet there is still no end in sight. Sarah Michaels is standing by at the United Ministry Complex with a report.
Thank you, Mark. The main factor protracting the discussions is the inability of the symbiotree to decide what should be done with the technology. The representatives have formed three distinct factions whose strongly opposing views have caused them to remain tenaciously entrenched in a deadlock. While one group believes we are committing the unforgivable act of hoarding a vital technology, a second supports the symbiotree tenet that each race has sovereignty over its own technologies. The third contingent, which has grown in strength since the arrest of Agent 5, contends that time travel represents a threat to every race of the symbiotree and should be destroyed altogether. Even though most attending races strongly disagree with humanity's sole ownership of the technology, our heads of ministry refuse to acknowledge their arguments, citing its inevitable misuse as their foremost concern. Therefore, barring symbiotree action, it is unlikely that the status of time travel as a proprietary technology of Earth will change.
The third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Unwa, is that the existence of time travel technology represents a threat to the history of every race in the symbiotree. For this reason, these races feel that all existing time machines should be completely dismantled. Following the arrest of Agent 5, the Lok-Soni changed their allegiance from petitioning for the release of time travel technology to requesting its destruction. They were joined by the Kryn, for whom this represents a break in their long-standing tradition of fervently supporting every race's right to sovereignty over its own technologies. The Lok-Soni now proclaim that if not destroyed, the technology must at the very least be put in the safekeeping of an elder race of the symbiotree. They cite security as their main concern. They were joined by